Okay, I'm back on Charlie's side now. Very, very, very interesting 2 episodes. Really good. I thought that episode 3 was a little bit of a what are we doing kind of dip. It was picking up a bit with episode 4, and now we're back. We're back to the good stuff. I pretty much like these 2 episodes as much as I liked the first 2 episodes of this season. And it's really showing that this 8-episode time limit is working for this show. That doing a whole story, a whole arc in 8 episodes works. Because, man, is it fast-paced. It's very economical, it's getting the job done, and it's working. I'm really enjoying it. And so there is a lot that happened in episodes 5 and 6. We have one called Silenced and one called Scream Rain. I really like the title of episode 6, Scream Rain, because it references just this one gag in the episode where the weather report is like, and now for our weather, scream rain, and the rain is screaming, and then it comes back at the end when Vox, I think he gets shocked by a bolt of lightning, either that or it just lightning strikes somewhere in the vicinity, and there's a ah, and he's like, what the heck was that? I don't know, is Scream Rain something that happens all the time in hell? Because I feel like he wouldn't be too shocked about that, but maybe it's just a freak occurrence. Okay, so I'm just kind of gonna scrub through the progress bar on these 2 episodes so I can like catch myself up with what happened, because so much went down, and I decided to do it all in one thing instead of doing it in split halves like I did the first 2 episodes. Just because this is a little easier. But I kind of have to refresh myself. So we have this opening, the episode 5 just begins on a song right away, which is cool. I don't think we've had that in this show yet. The show starts and bam, we're in a song. I think both of these episodes have had 3 songs apiece. They are flexing hard with the density of the music in this show. It's like, I can't stress enough, I thought 2 songs per episode was a lot in the last season. 3 songs per episode is what we seem to be consistently getting lately. That is mind-blowing. That means like 1 song every 10 minutes. Really, really impressive that they just decided to go full on with it, and it's working. And it means that not every song, I kind of like it because not every song has to be a totally memorable banger. Like, I was kind of disappointed by episode 7 of the last season because, you know, you had one really pretty good song in the for the first time in our lives, I am ready to do anything, something like that. But then before that, you had that one that Carmilla sings called Out for Love that was kind of like, it was a weird concept for the song, and it was not the most interesting execution. And I was kind of like, oh, okay, that's all we got. And then episode 8, we just got a reprise of More Than Anything, and then the song after that kind of just reprises older songs in the show. So I welcome more opportunities for success, and that seems to be working. But this opening number for Silenced is a little bit odd. You get a bunch of sinners who we've seen in previous episodes, including a couple right at the beginning who we saw in the pilot, which was really striking. That one shot in the pilot that I think looks really cool with that kind of tattooed lizard-looking guy at the pool table. He shows up again, and the person he was talking to shows up again right at the beginning of this song. And so I like that the show really recycles all of its all of its background characters. Oh, and I guess the person he was talking to was like that dinosaur overlord who we saw in the meeting in last season. That makes sense. Yeah. But it's a weird song because when it begins, I'm like, oh, okay, this is awesome. And then Vox shows up and he totally changes it, and I'm like, okay, so now it's a different thing. I can get used to that. And then it just keeps changing as he keeps trying to appeal to different overlords, which I guess is the point. He's switching up his message and delivery for the different overlords. So story-wise, it makes sense that the song keeps changing, but then by the end of it, you're like, what the hell was that? It's a weird song. And, you know, I've talked already about how this show is doing that with its songs. It's switching them. It's not keeping to one melody all throughout. But this is just a very extreme example of that, and I'm wondering, you know, what the portents are regarding that. But what I'm also noticing is that Christian Borle has a lot of parts in this show, in this season. I think he only sang twice in the first season, but this time it seems like every episode he has like more than one song to sing. And it's sort of making it where like everyone else doesn't even get their parts. Like, Blake Roman has a song in episode 6, and when it shows up, I'm like, oh yeah, he hasn't sung yet in this season. That's... I just never even really thought much about it, but yeah, it took until episode 6 for him to get a song to himself. It was a really good one, but yeah, so we're at a very interesting point in the story where Vox is really showing himself very capable of doing this task that he wants to do, leading this rebellion against heaven. Everything seems to be coming together for him. There is one wrinkle in it, though, one noticeable one, which is that his relationship with his partners, Valentino and Velvet, is starting to deteriorate. And it's very clever how we're seeing Alistair as an instigator in all of this. And I'm wondering if that's part of Alistair's plan. He gets in there with them so that he can talk to them and turn them against each other. Very fascinating. We saw hints of that in the first song in episode 1, where he's like, trust me, trust me, trust us, I meant us. And they're like, yeah. And so, yeah, this idea that, you know, he thinks of himself as a natural leader. He is the leader of the V's. He has the most influence of the V's. He's probably the most powerful. And yet, like, there's that line from Alistair. Is Vox as strong as he purports, or is it based on his support? He'd be powerless without the other V's. Is that true? I'm not sure. But right now, there's a big question of does he even need them? And if he does, what does that mean for their relationship if this whole plan is hinging on that? So that could be an interesting way to do it. And I always had this thought in my head that it would be interesting if Velvet sort of turned Valentino and Vox against each other and made them try to kill each other so that she could then kind of mop up everything and become the most powerful overlord in hell. And so this looks like a version of that kind of thing happening. That there is going to be some infighting, but I'm not sure what it's going to look like. I feel bad for Charlie in these 2 episodes, as we should. She's in a tough spot, but, you know, one thing about Charlie is she's a very, very strong character, and she does well under pressure, and she can do really well in a tough spot, and she can always figure out a way to get out of a tough spot. It's like Walter White from Breaking Bad, you know? He does his best when he's under pressure, and he always comes up with his best ideas when he absolutely has to. This is a very different version of that, but so when I see her in this situation, like, man, it seems like everything is going poorly for her. Like, her dad messed up real bad. Alistair's gone, so her protection is over. Angel Dust is now, you know, there's no one to protect him, so he's getting abused by the V's again. Husk is gone because, like, without Alistair and without any hope, why does he stick around? And of course she's arguing with Vaggie now, and even her hope with Emily and the Angels, which was really hilarious, seeing her just tire herself out in vain trying to it's like, there's no way they're gonna see you. But then it's hilarious because then it's revealed that they actually are seeing her, and Emily's like, yeah, we should go down and talk to her. Very funny. But even that doesn't work, and it's really cool how it doesn't work, actually. It was well done, this whole episode 5, with Vox and with the Angels intercepting Vox. Everything about that was well plotted, and we see how naive the Angels are, Emily and Abel, and how they're not used to the way things are in hell, where people are all mean, and they recognize it's not a good place, you know, but they don't understand the culture there, and they're trying their best. They're trying to help things, but they're too late, and that's something that Sarah understands, is that, you know, this isn't gonna go over well doing this, and especially now that they have this guy to kind of rile them up, saying make hell great again. Vox Populi, really clever. Like, did Vivzie come up with that? Is that part of why she named him Vox from the beginning, is that she knew he was gonna do this Vox Populi arc? Because that's really cool, a really cool reveal of a different application of his name. It's a really, it makes sense psychologically. Like, everything about this arc makes sense, and you can't blame the demons for getting behind Vox, because his message honestly is the one that makes the most sense at this point. And I guess part of the problem is that they come down and intercept this big rally, and then they come to apologize for the exterminations. And what kind of gets lost in all of this is the bigger, or really the more pointed aspect of this, which is that redemption is possible. It works. And that one of their own got into heaven. And I don't remember them really touching on this because they were so distracted by all the drama. The real big revelation kind of got lost in all of this. And that probably would have been a better idea for them to not even try to apologize to the demons, but to first try to set the record straight. You know, you can't fix everything all at once. Especially not in an arena like that where Vox has everyone eating out of the palm of his hand. But, you know, it shows he has a lot of media training, a lot of power in a very, like a magnetism sense, where we didn't get that sense in season 1 because so much of season 1 focused on his petty rivalry with Alistair, where he seemed so weak in comparison to Alistair. But really, it's just because that was a very personally wounding experience for him. It was a very humiliating experience for him, and we see that in episode 4 of this season. And I like getting a better picture of Vox because it shows that outside of his one weakness, which is Alistair, he's actually a very capable person. He's a very clever person, very devious person, and someone with a lot of strength. And he knows when he has the upper hand most times. And I like how that was shown with all of the angels, including Lucifer first, coming down to challenge him. And Lucifer, yeah, it just shows how useless Lucifer really is. And I like how they show how little power he really has. And he's trying to do something to help, but he ends up just hurting the situation. And it's a really good power play from Vox. It shows how he really isn't afraid of anyone now. And he really wants to see himself as a king in both hell and heaven. And so he just goes for it. He just puts everything out on the line and calls everyone's bluff the whole way through. And he does it miraculously. He does it beautifully. And by the end of it, you're like, wow, this guy really, this is the real deal. I mean, when he's singing this song to Valentino and Velvet about how great it'll be for them to take over heaven, and Valentino's like, I know you're not going to believe this, but I don't understand. How are we going to get up there? You know, you're kind of like on Val's side almost, like, okay, but like, is this really realistic to have these aspirations? But now it's becoming clear that, no, actually, this is up for grabs in a way. Like, this is not a pipe dream. If this is all the opposition that we have. And it shows how Lute might have an opening to really take over at this point, because she's the one person she's like the Winston Churchill of the group. She's the one person who has doggedly been saying, we need to kill the demons. We need to get rid of this menace. And so if war is where this is going, guess who they're going to turn to? They're going to turn to the person who's been fighting for this war since the beginning, and that's Lute. So everything is coming into place in a really clever way. I really like the way they're doing it, and it's breaking down this whole idea of the hotel and making you, as an audience member, wonder, like, is there any future for this concept? And even we see in the next episode, I believe, really, Charlie, the whole reason she's doing this is because she wants her mother's attention. Which is an interesting revelation. And it's also an interesting reveal to see that Lilith really seems, because of these details, and we've had no pushback against these details at all, it really seems that Lilith is more on Charlie's wavelength than we thought at one point. That maybe she really does have this non-violent approach. I'm not sure. But Vox is really playing up that he's trying to carry on Lilith's legacy. Charlie is doing the same exact thing. Both of them are pointing to Lilith because Lilith is really the person who everyone seems to have a positive opinion of, which is interesting. And it's making me more curious. I was never really curious about Lilith before now, and now I really want to see her. And the show is doing a great job at I'm assuming we're going to see her probably in the final episode of this season. It's doing a great job at setting her up now. Like, now I'm curious. What is the deal with her? And how this plays into Lucifer is so interesting and so sad. And I like that now we're seeing more of Charlie's anger against Lucifer, that she was really holding in that first season. And you could see she had a lot of resentment, which felt out of character for her, to be so bitter against someone, have such a grudge against some specific person. And you're like, what is this guy's fault? What did this guy do to upset her so much? And now we see that really coming out when she's at her lowest moment. She's frustrated. She's even snapping at her girlfriend. She's just out of patience for him. And I like that they're bringing that back, and they're bringing it into focus, that she has this long-term resentment against him. And we might even see a little bit of why, with him, you know, trying to help and being such a failure. You know? And his way of helping is sort of, it's posturing. He did a lot of posturing in season 1, in the first episode he was in, you know, that champagne fountains, caviar mountains, that's just a start. She was very unimpressed by all of that. And it seems like, is this the deal? Is this his way of trying to get people to like him? And Charlie hates that because it just feels so shallow to her. And she prefers her mother because her mother really had a sense of empowerment, whereas Lucifer is just very pessimistic and materialistic and has lost any belief in his own dream, you know, from the beginning when he wanted to empower people. He just gave up on it. There's so much of a story here, and I like that we're getting it in drips. It's all beneath the surface, and we're not seeing everything. And I'm so fascinated by it. And Vaggie finally becomes an interesting character, I think, in these 2 episodes. It's been a long time that Vaggie has just kind of been there, and she hasn't had much to do. And I've been bored by her, and even though she's had, like, ballads that she's sung, it's just felt like, who cares? She's, for this whole series, felt very kind of inconsequential in anything other than just a plot device. But now, finally, she seems to be developing a personality. And part of that is pushing back against Charlie and really, like, putting her foot down and being the voice of reason in a consequential way. I like the fact that she's really challenging Charlie now, like, and she's directly telling her, your actions have been hurting the hotel. I mean, that was a powerful line from her. So yeah, if this keeps going, and we saw little flashbacks of her in heaven and her in hell when she was disfigured by Lute, that were really powerful little flashes, seem to imply some sort of more history that we're gonna get there, and that's cool too. I like Charlie being at her lowest point, not having any clue what to do, and starting to snap, starting to lash out, starting to tire herself out. I thought that this was premature in episode 3 because it seemed like she should have been more excited about Serpentius getting to heaven and her plan working. But now, after more time, and more consequences, and we see the angels aren't very much help anymore because the demons aren't listening to them, and the demons are becoming more powerful. And in all of this, there's this war between heaven and hell brewing. The concept of redemption isn't even being talked about. Her hotel isn't even being talked about. Alistair has become powerless. Everything that gave her any kind of relevance or currency is just fading into obscurity, and she doesn't know what to do. Nobody cares. Nobody cared already, and now extra nobody cares. And that's totally demoralizing. But of course, the strength of her character is how she's always able to overcome that demoralization. And it really hits harder when we see her have these moments where it really does affect her, where she can't ignore it and she's a mess. So that's really exciting. Carmilla, a really cool scene with Carmilla and Vox where he's saying to her, very intelligently, "You are the one who started this war." And he's right. And this is something I'm loving about this, is that Vox is right about a lot of this. And really, he has the best argument to put to everyone right now. It really seems like they can win a battle against the angels. And if they can do that, then why are they going to accept subservience to another race of people that has been genociding them for centuries? Why are they going to do this? And so, yeah, that convinces Carmilla, and I think it might play on Carmilla's guilt complex, like, yeah, I guess I did start this war, so maybe it's on me to finish what I started. And then, great scene where she then turns it around on, she takes that same thing and turns it on to Charlie and Vaggie, saying, you started this war. And she's kind of right about that, too. I love that. And, yeah, we get some funny Nifty stuff where she's like, Nifty, you're in charge of the hotel. Hilarious, putting Nifty in charge of the hotel. And she's like, yes, my moment has come. All the bugs are crawling over her. And then you find out that she just made a brass band with the bugs. Hilarious. And also that Baxter helped her do that. Funny, having a little project between Baxter and Nifty, hinting that they might be growing closer, which kind of gets to that the ship of water, as I call it, because Baxter is a sea monster and she's a maid. It's like the sea monster and the maid, The Shape of Water, that movie. They're both short. Hey, it works. You can see it aesthetically. And, there's so much here. We have Husk. Quits. Makes perfect sense for him to quit. Totally right. When he quit, I was like, oh yeah, of course he's gonna quit. Then Keith David gets a great song at a casino. What is it called? Love in a Bottle, something like that. Where he's back to his old ways, just getting smashed, gambling, and kind of bittersweet about it. Like, he hates the loneliness reappearing in his life. But he also kind of likes the gambling and the drinking again. And, but yeah, he leaves, and it's really because he's like, well, Angel, I like Angel and I care about him, but am I really worth it? You know? Like, who am I to tell him he should care about me? Something like that. He's just kind of demoralized, as everyone is at this point in the show. And, really cool reveal of angel dust in drag at the bar, which is something that That's an old Angel Dust thing. Like I think really Angel Dust being gay started out as him being a drag queen. Because if I recall, he was the crackhead brother of another character named Arachnis, who was supposed to be a main character in the show. And then she had the idea, what if he also dresses in drag like Bugs Bunny? And then it just became he's gay. So I like the fact that finally we see that being really brought in as a major set piece. And him having that song, which is a great song for Blake Roman, really shows the ability for him as that character to have that feminine presentation in his voice that we always knew was there, but he never expressed it as this character until this scene where he's really singing to Husk. And I like the way their relationship is portrayed in this episode. It feels good. It feels like a continuation from Masquerade. With episode 3, I was a little iffy with the whole Danny Doobad bit. And then that becoming about Angel and Husk randomly, and I was just kind of like, huh? Like it wasn't working the way they were doing the dialogue. But in this one, it all feels very natural. They're just kind of in a I don't know what to do place in this episode, and I like that. I like the fact that they're just kind of, it's not like they're giving up, but they're just like, this situation ain't working. Not that we ever really thought it was gonna work. So we're just kind of hanging out here waiting for the next thing. And yeah, and you get callbacks to the Loser Baby and how they connected, and they're like, this hotel is a bigger mess than the two of us, which I thought was really funny. Like at this point, they are they feel more confidence, as much as they hate their lives. They feel more confidence in themselves than in the hotel. And I guess it's a little bit weird that Vox has been using Angel Dust to spy on them, because, like, why did he need Serpentius in the first season if he could just do it with Angel Dust? I don't totally get that. But I guess the last thing I want to talk about is the song between Vaggie and Charlie. This is something that was hinted at a while back. One of the cast members or someone teased on Twitter that there would be a fun, sexy song between Charlie and Vaggie in season 2. I expected it to happen a little bit earlier. I expected it to be more of an establishing song for the season. But no, it's more of a pick-me-up song where they're at a bad place, they're fighting, and this is their make-up sex song. And it was a good one. I liked all 3 of the ones in this episode, probably because none of them had Vox. And I love Vox and his singing, but he's been in so many of these songs that I'm kind of like, give someone else a chance. So we got Keith David's number, we got Blake Roman's number, we got their number. It's like, all right, we're filling in the gaps that were left in the previous episodes. I think one of the lines was something like, if we found love in hell, then, what can't we do? Or something like that. That premise that, like, this relationship is remarkable, the fact that it exists, and let's celebrate it if we can't celebrate anything else. And it's really Vaggie trying to remind Charlie to be that optimistic person that she's been forgetting to be in this season, that she was doing such a good job being in the previous season. And so I'm hoping that is going to be the thing that fixes her and helps her wrap this whole thing up in the next 2 episodes, because I guess That's going to happen. And Lilith probably is going to be a part of that. How Lilith is going to come into the picture, I don't know. But I'm really excited to see it. Everything is just falling into place in a cool way. I like it.